Hello, creators, and welcome to Rediscovering Be Something Wonderful, where we reawaken the timeless truths from the Be Something Wonderful video archive. You've been taught to strive, to struggle, to attract, to manifest, and to make your seemingly impossible dreams and desires a reality. But here's the radical truth. You don't manifest the impossible. You are the impossible. You don't pray for miracles. You are the miracle. You don't create reality. You are reality. You are the one source, the one limitless consciousness, and the one I am awareness, in which all things live, move, exist, and have their being. There's nothing outside of you to chase or create. You are already healed, whole, complete, and fulfilled beyond your wildest dreams. This truth is eternal. It's not mine, it's yours. And today, it's being reawakened within you as once again, Be Something Wonderful brings it to life. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, good morning and welcome back to the studios at Be Something Wonderful. Big video for you today. It's centered around the question, Tom, how do I manifest the impossible? In the face of these conditions, these circumstances of my life that I don't want, that I don't desire, that are right in my face, how do I imagine, assume, and affirm my new life? It seems impossible to move into that new identity, to move into that new reality, that new life. Well, we're going to talk about this idea today and more. Remember, here you are in this present now moment with certain manifested circumstances that are always changing, but you only see the solidity of them. And you use those manifested conditions as evidence of an impossible future. And you have a past that you believe who you were, that you remember about, have a memory about who you were. And you use that as evidence of the present circumstances that are unwanted. And it all feels solid and real to you, and it seems impossible to move from that. So we continue to ask the questions, how do I do it? What do I do? When will it change? Why is this happening? Remember, those are all linear and limited questions. It's all a limited and linear view of reality, where you believe in this solid, linear, horizontal experience that seems so real, right? That seems so solid and unchangeable, but it's all made up right here and now by you, by your story. You're creating it all. This is all changing, past, present, and future. You're determining who you are, who you were, and who you will be right now. So it's not those aren't the questions of how do I do it? What do I do? When will it change? Why is this happening? The only question is who? Who are you? Who are you and where are you? Right? Who is timeless? Who is limitless? The who is you, here and now, as the center of your world. And here's the big key that we really unpacked like we never did before. This current frame of reality that seems solid, that seems that it only belongs to one reality, one parallel alternative reality, is actually a frame in all of your lives. It exists in all of your realities. So they're not really parallel, right? They're all there right now. That frame exists in every life that you're living right now. Every possible script or timeline, this frame exists in, and you as the center. And it's always changing according to where you are. And that determines the script or the horizontal experience that plays out in your life. We're going to show this to you today. I am that I am. who is and has everything. So we're going to show this today like we never have before. Think about this. Here you are in that frame, right, that you believe is solid, unchangeable. You're using those temporary manifested conditions and circumstances that you believe are in your face as evidence of a future that you can't reach. And you're using the past of who you were as evidence of these manifested conditions that you don't want. And it feels solid, it feels immovable. It's linear and limited. But what really is happening is this, it's all and always potential, all of that. This frame that you believe that seems so solid is manifested potential. In other words, it's always changing. Right here. And you see it, and it's in the center of all possible linear scripts or timelines or parallel alternative experiences. That frame, the frame you're in right now, that seems so solid, is actually a frame in all of your lives. And it's the center of all of those scripts. Wow. But you keep looking out like it's one script, like you've got to move from this script to this script to this script. And that all of these presents are separate manifested experiences in each script. The reality is no, they're the center of all of these experiences, right here. This manifested physical frame is always changing. And you are at the center of all that potential, that linear, parallel, horizontal experiences. That's you right here. And what determines the linear past or the linear future, that horizontal linear experience, is what you're imagining yourself to be, who you're defining yourself to be. In that frame, it doesn't matter what the current manifested conditions are. They're always changing. And that frame exists as the center of all parallel alternative scripts. Nothing is linear. Nothing is parallel. We're going to show this today like we never have before, so stay with me. It's not this. It's not linear, and it's not parallel. But it's that thought when you imagine something that feels linear and parallel, it feels so heavy to move to a different script, a different present manifested frame. But there's only one present manifested frame, and that's manifested potential. In other words, it's always potential. But you create a manifested experience in this now moment of that potential, and that determines some linear or horizontal experience. You create that horizontal past of who you were and who you will be right now from this frame. You see it, all of those horizontal linear experiences, they're not parallel. This frame that you're in exists in all of them. Wow. There's not different present frames and different scripts and different realities. We talk about that so you can get your linear mind wrapped around it. But that only creates the idea that you've got to jump realities, that you've got to quantum shift to a new parallel world, when actually all the worlds are right there. You're in the center of all worlds, all realities, all identities, and this current frame is the present frame of all of those scripts. Wow. All of those realities. And what determines your manifested physical experience is defined by who you are. Wow. This is the only thing that is real. That present, right, the real you are reality. You are real. You create the idea of the future and the past right here. You're the center of all of it. We're going to get back to this picture. You're always at the center of all your infinite potential linear, parallel, horizontal realities. In other words, that seemingly solid manifested frame that you call your current or present reality is really manifested potential that's changing and shifting in every moment and exists, here it is, in all of your potential infinite linear, parallel, horizontal realities here and now. Wow. That frame, it's not this. That frame is part of all the potential linear paths that you can take. It's in the middle of all of those realities. So when you look out at physical circumstances and you're going, I got to get out of this reality, I've got to get out of this identity, I got to get out of these circumstances, those circumstances, those manifested conditions are in that is the potential of all those realities that you want to move to. It's the same frame. It's just a different manifested experience of that same frame. All the potential are in those conditions that are in your face. Wow. I hope you're getting this today. This is big, right? So this frame that is really manifested potential that's always changing and shifting in every moment. And this frame exists in all of your potential infinite linear parallel horizontal realities here and now. In other words, the world, your world, literally does revolve around you. And the viewpoint and vantage point and perspective from which you view it changes the manifested frame, creating another alternative linear parallel horizontal experience of which you are always the center of. Wow. Do you see this? Your vantage point here determines what this frame, in other words, when you're looking at those manifested conditions, that's what we mean that circumstances don't matter. That's what Bashar means and the others when they say only state of being matters. Because the meaning you give it determines which parallel horizontal experience you're going to create and experience. Because that frame doesn't, you don't go anywhere. You're always here and now in that same frame. That same frame of the present moment, but that frame's always changing. So when you see it differently, it creates a different horizontal parallel linear experience. That's powerful today. So it does. It literally revolves around you and your viewpoint or your vantage point, your perspective from which you view it changes the manifested frame, creating another alternative linear parallel experience. It's not that you're moving, like literally moving to another parallel script. Those are all potential. That you're changing your viewpoint or your perspective, your vantage point as the center of reality, because that frame exists in all potential linear experiences, all potential realities. It's the center. Imagine yourself sitting at the center in one frame, and that frame exists in all potential lifelines or realities or identities that you want to experience. So it's how you see that frame, how you look at those conditions that changes it and determines everything. That's why, right? Wow, that's powerful. It's not this. When you keep looking at this, it does seem impossible, right? It does seem impossible. So that's powerful, right? You're always the center. That it literally does revolve around you. So those seemingly solid manifested conditions and circumstances of your present life, that manifested frame that seems solid and seems like a separate, distinct, linear parallel lifeline or reality, are actually the present or current frame of all potential that exists as the center of the present frame of all your infinite lives, realities, identities here and now. That frame, the frame you're in, the one that seems so solid, actually is the frame at the center, look at this, the center of all possible linear lifelines or experiences. It's the same frame. Wow. You're not going anywhere. Everything's here and now. You're all that is. And as you look at those conditions that are in your face, knowing that everything's working out, knowing that that frame that you're in, those conditions are manifested potential of the present frame that exists in all of your lives. So as you look at them differently, as you know that it must be working out, then it becomes that way. That frame then, you create a horizontal linear experience where it is working out, where it is leading to everything you want. You're building the bridge because you are the bridge. You're the middle, right? That's what it means with God, all things are possible, because you're the center. Do you see that? The center, it's not these parallel, the idea of moving to alternative parallel realities. It's all the potential, it's you in your present frame, you are already in all realities. You already exist in all lifelines. You already exist in all the scripts as the center of all of them. This present frame that seems manifested and solid is actually the same frame that exists in all of your lives. Wow. I hope you're getting this. This is powerful today. So just because you see and are experiencing seemingly undesired, unwanted circumstances and conditions doesn't mean you haven't shifted and that you're not occupying your new identity or reality of wish fulfilled. I really want you to hear that because it's not linear. That's a linear, limited thought and idea. And actually, you're always shifting because that frame exists in all of those realities. So as you declare that I am in that new reality, you're in it. It doesn't matter what the conditions say. That frame exists within them. And as you see those manifested conditions as leading you to everything you want, as part of the unfolding, as the center frame of all of your realities, you now become all-powerful. Now anything is possible. Now you're manifesting the impossible because you're the center of all of it. Wow. So that manifested frame of potential is at the center of all of your simultaneous lives here and now. It's at the center of all of your simultaneous lives and lifelines and film roles and scripts here and now. And from what vantage point perspective you see the manifested frame, right? Because remember, it means nothing until you say so. It has no meaning at all. You say so. I am determines it. Determines the next frame in your entire linear parallel manifested experience. How you see this determines the next frame. In other words, it's just this frame, but that frame becomes that, right? You're always at the center, but it determines that linear experience. Wow. I don't think we talked about it like this before, right? Determines the next frame. And your entire linear experience of manifested reality. That's why manifested circumstances mean nothing. That's why they all say that they don't matter. Now you know why. Instead of just repeating it like a parrot that they don't matter, and you really believing that they do matter. I mean, that's the definition that's the definition of denial. It's trying to believe something when you secretly don't believe it. We're talking about deny those conditions because you know they're changing. You know that you're at the center of it. That's the true use of denial. Not to deny it, but believing that, oh yeah, but they really do matter. They don't matter because that frame exists at the center of all of your potential scripts or realities. That's why they don't matter, and they're always changing depending on who you say you are, where you are and who you are. As the center, right? Wow, that's big, powerful. That's why they say the state of being is all that matters. Bashar and all of them say the same thing. So now you know why, right? Now you know why. In those manifested circumstances, the ones that you believe are in your face, of your current present linear experience, this frame, or in other words, that manifested frame. In that manifested frame lies the potential, wow, hear this, of all your infinite lives, because it's the center of all your infinite lives. Your seemingly impossible dream life exists here and now in this current frame. The only question is, where are you and who are you? As I've quoted from Scripture in Exodus 3:14, God says to Moses, Moses, Moses. And Moses answers, here I am. Where are you and who are you? Right? Are you looking at those conditions and saying, yeah, my past of who I was is why these conditions are like they are. And these conditions are evidence of a future that I can never reach. Or are you saying I'm the center of all of it and I get to determine what these conditions mean to me? Because this manifested frame is at the center of all my possible lives and reality. Here I am. Right? Here I am, here and now. That's why the affirmations, robotic or otherwise, meaning the whole idea of robotic means to repeat them no matter what you're thinking and feeling, no matter what you're seeing. That's the whole idea of a robotic affirmation. Right? It's not trying to feel a certain way or see something different. It's to know that they already are different. Right? That's why they're so powerful. The affirmations that we've talked about, the idea of it's perfect, I'm perfect, everything's unfolding perfectly. Well, it is then. It must be perfect. Think about this. It is. Because you're at the center of it, because that frame exists in all possible infinite potential linear experiences. So it is perfect. It must be the perfect unfolding because it exists. If it was like this, then it wouldn't seem perfect. It would seem like I want to get out of this manifested experience and move to this one. And that seems impossible, but it's perfect because you're at the center of all of it. All your possibilities are now. That frame exists in all realities, all infinite potentials. That's why it's perfect, I'm perfect, everything's unfolding perfectly is so powerful. Because it is, because that current frame you're in is all realities. Superimposed one over another, and you determine what that's going to look like. That's powerful today. With those circumstances in my face, it just seems impossible. Yeah, it seems impossible to imagine, affirm, and assume something different. Here you are. This is what you believe, right? You're in that present frame of unwanted circumstances, trying to imagine that imaginal frame of a better life, right? It seems impossible because you're using the past as evidence of these unwanted circumstances in the present, and you're using these unwanted manifested conditions that are always changing as evidence of a future you'll never get to. So yeah, it seems impossible to move to another parallel experience, right? It seems impossible to move to that alternative linear parallel reality. That current manifested linear parallel experience seems so solid and important and unchangeable. But there's nothing about it that's linear, parallel, solid, unchangeable, or even important. Hear this. Because all realities exist within you. Nothing's more important or less important. So yeah, with people, with men, as Scripture says, it seems impossible. But with God, all things are possible. With you as the center of it, it's not this, but this. All things are possible because that frame exists in all possibilities. That's why. And right here, right? Because that frame, that manifested frame is always changing and it's always at the center of all scripts, all possibilities, all lifelines. You don't go anywhere. That's how to manifest the impossible and free yourself from all limitations. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for liking and sharing and commenting on the videos. Tomorrow we have a live, no, not tomorrow, Sunday. Tomorrow's Saturday. Saturday, September 29th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. We're going to have our live stream. I think it's our 21st live stream on the channel. This is going to be broadcast on the Be Something Wonderful membership channel. So if you're a member, join us. If you're not a member, check out the link below. It's going to be great. We're going to answer your questions live on the chat and questions you've sent to us at info@besomethingwonderful.com. Thank you for being part of our Facebook group, the ambassadors at facebook.com/groups/besomethingwonderful, and for joining us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin and TikTok at Be Something Wonderful, or anywhere on social media at Tom Kearin or Be Something Wonderful. Creators with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude. This is Tom Kearin here in the studios of Be Something Wonderful. Until next time, we'll see you soon.